10, 9.
You want answers? I want the truth!
Get ready for two guys who can't handle the truth.
I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
But we can. Dave Palumbo, Chris Aceto. RxMuscle.com presents Heavy Muscle Radio. Watch out!
Welcome to another episode of Heavy Muscle Radio. I'm Dave Palumbo, and I'm joined, as always, by the technician, Chris Aceto. On this April 13th, 2019 evening. Ooh, losing my voice here, Chris. New York Pro Week. Always fun. Are you going to be going in a week early like you normally do?
I'm going in on Wednesday.
Oh, that's late for you. Yeah.
Well, I just had a baby, so I can't run off.
Yeah.
And today is Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day to your wife. And
yeah, well, technically,
I hope you can give her peace, but it's easy just to buy a card or something.
I don't buy cards, but I told you my dad. Oops, I just knocked over the microphone. My dad would never accept a pre-printed card. We had to make a.
My wife would never accept one.
Oh,
ever.
really?
Yeah, but you can make one.
Right, I have to make one. I had to make one my whole life for my dad. Father's Day, Christmas, birthday.
Yeah.
And with your wife, you get an extra one. You get Valentine's Day in there. So I have to make 4 cards a year. I don't have to. She writes cards. She would take a written card, but my father has brainwashed me so much that it's so unoriginal to just give someone a Hallmark card, so to speak.
Yeah.
That I make my own.
Speaking of your dad, did we say that Dave's father is a true poet, or was a true poet. Mm-hmm. And when I was cleaning up my office, moving it from one end of the office space to the other, I threw out like 32 bags of crap that I got to burn because it's just stuff that if I put it someone can steal my identity if I put it on the street. And I only saved a few books. One was your father's book.
Wow. My father would be very proud.
Called Requiem for Lovers.
Yep.
Yeah. And funny, Dave, when I read the book, when I read a poem, I read it in his voice.
It's different when you know the person, right? Yeah.
Tough love. What is it? It's a phenomenal book. He was extremely talented.
It's one of these things that like you might have gotten it originally and it was just sitting on your shelf, and then one day you're just kind of sitting around in a weird mood and you kind of just pick it up and you start just reading it and you're like, and all of a sudden things make sense to you. Like when you just looked it over and you didn't have enough time to spend on it, you might just not get the gist of it. And then something just says, I'm going to read this one poem, see what it means. And you could tell my father spent a lot of time on the meaning and all the metaphors and the little,
Well, one, he is a deep thinker.
Yeah.
And two, it's a summation of the pain and joy of his life.
Of course.
Which it seems like there might have been more pain.
Yeah, I think the pain fuels the creativity, though, don't you think?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, so, anyway, New York Pro Week is always fun. You'll be down there. I won't be there this year, but you'll be there representing. I have to request a press pass for you. That's probably a good idea for you.
Nice if you could.
I probably should contact Steve Weinberg. I feel bad because I always wait till the last minute, and it's really because I forget. I think Steve knows by now, but anyway.
I love the New York Pro, and I love where they have it because it's easy to get to. It's easy to get in and out of. It's good lighting there at this venue. But I miss it when it was in Manhattan because I like the idea of going to a bodybuilding show in Manhattan. Yeah,
but I didn't really like it when it was downtown where they had the the Performing Arts Center that they had that. I didn't like it in that place. It was a college,
Yeah.
The Manhattan College, they had it. They had all the regular shows there. I liked when they had it years ago when Wayne used to have it at the Beacon Theater.
Yeah.
It was hard to get to. It was expensive to get to. I understand the hotels suck. Where Steve is holding it now is a much more functional place. But it was like it was the closest thing you can get to Broadway, right? To a Broadway. It was like a Broadway theater almost. They had it. It felt more special, even though there was no backstage room. It was a logistical nightmare to have it there. But it packed a lot of people that venue. right?
Yeah, it was. What, 3,500 maybe?
Yeah, it could be upstairs, downstairs. You thought you were doing a Broadway show, like I said. So, I'm looking at the list here from New York. I see Juan Morel on the list.
I didn't know he was doing it.
Yeah, he decided to do it. Are you helping Joe Mackey?
No.
Oh, you're not doing his diet this year?
No.
I see James Hollingshead, who looked really good at that last show. He took third at. I see Milan Shadik from the Czech Republic.
Yeah.
He's doing the Open.
They had sent me a picture of him. He looks pretty impressive.
Josh Wade, who we haven't seen this year yet.
No, but always in
Great
really
shape.
good
He had a good year last year. Justin Rodriguez is going to be in the show. He's always dangerous.
Yeah, good shit. Good. Very good condition usually. Really good shape.
I don't know. I think there's someone missing on the list. Who else was supposed to be in the show? It seems like a weak lineup. I thought that.
Akeem.
What?
What about Akeem?
I don't see him on the list. I thought he was doing it too. Maybe not. I thought there was
good idea or not a good idea? Akeem stepped.
Who wasn't there another big name that was supposed to do the show that I'm forgetting? I'm not forgetting. I don't see him on the list. I'm trying to think who else we were talking about. Big Ramy was originally supposed to do it, but he's obviously not doing it. That was the big name that I was thinking of. Unbelievable. Well, we're going to talk about Big Ramy in a little while. We have plenty to talk about Ramy, but so the New York Pro lineup doesn't look as dominating as I thought it was going to be. You know,
who were you expecting in there to? Well, I think Akeem would be a bit of.
I thought Akeem would definitely do the show. Maybe he just couldn't hold on anymore.
John Del Rosa is doing the show. I hear.
Yeah, I know he's not on the list. Maybe there's people that haven't updated the list yet. I thought that I heard that John De La Rosa was doing the Puerto Rico Pro. That's what we reported on Muscle in the Morning, at least.
Oh, I thought Puerto Rico was 212 only.
No, I think it's open this year, unless I reported it incorrectly, which is possible.
Mm-hmm.
Now I got to look it up. Who are you helping in the New York Pro? Because you're going there, obviously. So
Eduardo Correa.
Oh yeah, we're gonna get to the 212. Let's talk about the 212 while I'm looking up this other thing. 212 division is stacked. Ton of talent in this one. I have a horse in the lineup too.
I have like 3.
Helping Kareth Baggio. Who are you helping? Who else have you got in the lineup?
Eduardo Correa, not to be confused with Ricardo Correa.
Right. Eduardo is a former 212 Olympia second place finisher. I see Dwayne Quamina. He's always good. Yeah. He's in that lineup.
I'm helping from.
You're doing his diet too?
Yeah, he looks very good.
Didn't know that. King Q.
Yeah, King is good.
He's been pretty quiet this prep. For the Olympia, he was going nuts. I had him on the show. Yeah. He was great. Great interview.
Who else is in there? Oh, Ascanani's doing the show.
I'm looking. I don't see him.
He might not be on the list, but he's 100%.
I have a feeling that this list is not updated yet. I don't know why it wouldn't be. It's the week of the show, but I don't see Ashkenani on the list.
I think he jumped in. Well, I'm sure he's planning on doing it all the time, but he only put his name in the hat, in the basket, whatever you call it, just recently.
If he's in there, then that's going to make it a great show.
Well, it becomes a back contest. His back versus Correa's back. I mean, That's what they're both known for.
True.
Which is why I just posted up a back shot of Eduardo Correa, and I sent it to you.
Great shot. Really good shot. I'm very impressed with it, actually. I mean, Correa had a lot of injuries, right? I mean, that tricep was
It's ridiculous how long... It's insane how long he has prepped for this show, and how far he came for this show, because the last time he had the tricep worked on, it was, from my understanding, the last shot. Like, if we can't attach it properly.
Right. It sounds like my quad. Maybe I should go find his surgeon, let him do my quad.
I'm sure he went to the best of the best.
Yeah.
I'm sure he went to the best of the best because he's nuts.
Mm-hmm. That's what I should do.
Anyways, he had to prep a long period of time because he had lost a lot of muscle. and he didn't want to be, pushing his body too hard with too low body fat, with the fear of like it may snap.
Was he training lighter than he normally does, or was he pushing it?
Well, he's been pushing it for quite a while, but he took like 40 weeks to get ready. But at week 41, he was just
40
well,
weeks.
he took the whole year because he had to build up. You know what I mean?
I know.
Which is crazy when people go like, I'm sure you get to, Dave. I get it all the time. Hey, Chris, I'd like to do they'll whatever, big show. I haven't trained for 2 years, and they want to get ready in like 16 weeks.
Yeah.
That's why the reason I brought up the 40 weeks is that Eduardo said, how long is it going to take me to come back? And I said, well, probably half a year to build your muscle back. I mean, you can build back weight and get on the scale and say, yep, I'm back.
True.
But you're not going to be like dense, have that hard look have settled in.
There is a Puerto Rico pro show in the Open.
In the Open?
Yeah, May 24th.
I love Puerto Rico. My new favorite place.
There you go. You can get a good excuse. Get a couple guys in it. And you have to tell your wife, hey, honey, I got to go to Puerto Rico.
I think Ricardo Correa is going, and I think Marco Cardone is going.
Are you working with them too?
Yeah, you just said that.
Who?
Marco. Who am I working with?
You're telling me names of people that I
The
didn't
kid from
mention.
Colombia. What's the guy's? Marco.
Rivera?
No, Marco Cardone. You got it confused with Rivera. See, you were thinking Rivera.
What are you talking about?
212.
Yeah, I know. I don't know what you're talking about, Marco.
Well, maybe you don't know him.
There's a Marco Rivera in the 212. I know Marco. He's from the Bronx.
And there's a Colombian guy I'm helping too. His name is Marco Cardone.
Oh.
Cardone.
I'm looking for him on the list. He's in the New York Pro?
Yeah, maybe he didn't send in his application. He'll be there. He gets there on like Wednesday.
It's pretty bad when you live in Colombia and you haven't registered for the show the week of the show. That's kind of cutting it close, wouldn't you say? Oh, my God.
Well, you just said Oscar not on the list.
I know. Well, yeah, he's coming from Kuwait. You know, he's got the special invite. The New York Pro. Oh, I see the classic division is packed also. They got so many people they had to go to a second page on here.
I had encouraged what's his face to do it. Hambrick.
Oh, you did?
No, he's going to do Chicago. I don't know why. I don't push people.
He should have done New York. That would have been a great show for him.
Oh, he's this. He is doing Chicago, and he might be having a historic rebound. I mean, he looks so good. He looks as good now or better than a week out from his show when he was dieting.
Wow.
So I probably flattened him down too much.
He's a freak. Yeah, he'll probably get bigger. I see Keon Pearson's doing it. He's got to be probably the favorite in this lineup, I would think.
Yeah, always good. Always superbly dangerous.
Yeah, it should be a good show. I think that.
How many classic guys are there? 500?
Yeah, at least. There's 24 and then another. It's about 35 or something, 32, something like that.
Yeah.
A lot of guys. Men's physique is crazy too. Men's physique is probably about 60 guys.
Yeah, I was gonna say 90.
It's nuts. It's nuts. I can't even believe how many classic guys. How many men's physique guys there are. Good guys too in the lineup. Really good. Look, you know what these guys know? If they win here, they make a name for themselves. That now they're going to be on the radar because you're going to have Mannion there. You're going to have obviously Steve Weinberger there, and you win this show. It's a good bragging rights, don't you think?
I think it's great bragging rights.
It made
a lot of people.
It made Sergio Oliva Jr. Really got a huge boost from winning the New York Pro a couple of years ago.
Yeah,
I think it was a great. It was a big gamble, but when he walked away with that win, people really took him seriously after that.
Yeah. I was just talking to him today. Actually, he's doing good.
What's he doing?
I don't know what he's doing right now. I can't even remember what he said he's going to do, but he's training, which is good.
Is he going to compete?
Yeah. He's gonna.
Well, I'm assuming you're doing his diet, so you got to be getting ready for something at this point before the Olympia, right?
Yeah, but nothing yet.
Well, I mean, when do you start picking shows? I mean, at this point,
I don't know. I should speak to him about it. Clarify
Tampa isn't Tampa's the last show before the Olympia, right? Speaking of which might as well segue us into. So anyway, so you guys you'll be out there with Sid and our photographer Raphael Noble. You'll be doing the coverage, and it'll be a great show. Looking forward to watching all our coverage and wrapping it up with you next weekend. I'm sure we'll see some new breakout stars of the weekend for sure.
Yeah.
Whenever you get these lineups where there's not a lot of names, which there aren't, it's deep lineup but not a lot of names. That's good because that means you're going to get new names that are going to be built, and that's really what the historical lineage of the New York Pro always was, creating new stars, right? I mean, let's face it.
It's been a breakout show for. You talked about a breakout show for Sergio. It was a breakout show for Jay.
It was a breakout show for Nasser, for Dorian.
It was a breakout show for Mike Francois.
Yeah.
It was a breakout show for Charles Claremont, even though he didn't win it. Levrone. I was at it when Levrone won it. He was just off the charts.
Mind-boggling, yeah. Mind-boggling.
Jay likes to send me the lineup. He sent me the lineup a few years ago of the New York Pro when he won it.
Yeah. Who did he beat?
Oh my gosh. It was everyone but anyone except it was everyone with the exception of Wheeler, who wasn't there. And
what year was that?
Coleman. Let's see, he won it in 2000. And it was just so deep.
Marcus Rule second, Paul DeLed third.
There you go.
Orville Burke fourth. Lee Priest fifth.
Keep going.
Pavel Jablonski sixth. He was good at the time. Melvin Anthony seventh. Dexter eighth. Imagine Dexter eighth place. How funny is that?
They marked him down. Google his calves for that show. They were like hippopotamus calves.
Oh, really? Eddie Abu ninth. Jason Arnst 10th. Craig Titus 11th. J.D. Dawodu, remember him? 12th.
Oh, yeah, I saw him in England recently. He looks so young, it's insane, Dave.
Really? Garrett Downing.
Yeah. Do you know who I am? I said, JD, what's your last name? I don't know what the last name is.
He was a freak back in the day.
Yeah, because he has the same. He looks the exact same. He's pretty thick still, too.
Yeah. He never really got crazy ripped, but he was huge. Garrett Downing, who was always good. Kevin English was in the Open, 14th. Yeah. Johnny Moya, 15th. Roland Sherlock, 16th. Aaron Madgen, 17th. And there's 400 people that didn't place.
No, there's still. I mean, how many people? I think there were 45.
Jocelyn Peltier was in that lineup.
Yeah, I think he. What place you get?
Probably last. It was between him and Kenny Jones. I think Kenny beat him though.
Yeah, but Kenny had a bit of routine in here.
Sean Dinosaur Davis was in that lineup.
Oh, well, that's interesting. I didn't
Gustavo
know that.
Bedell didn't place in that lineup. Imagine that. That might have been when he first got on the scene.
I told you, Gustavo, me and Jay were on the tour. It was the Ronnie and Jay tour in 2000. It was like show after show after show.
Matarazzo didn't place in that lineup. Wow.
Really?
Yeah. Must have had a bad year or a bad show. Crazy.
So 2000, Bedell was in Europe after the Olympia. It's funny, years later I would run into him and he would tell me the story because Wayne said, who was promoting, was it Wayne at the time? Yeah, Wayne was promoting the shows and told Gustavo, you can do all the shows. So he didn't pay for Gustavo anywhere or to come anywhere. So we just had the electric went out for a second. You still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. So he didn't pay for Gustavo, so Gustavo went from like country to country on like fourth class trains.
He was going with Kenny Jones probably.
Yeah, but I remember seeing Gustavo backstage. I was with Jay, and I see Gustavo at these shows, and I'm thinking like, this guy looks really good. And he's getting killed because he wasn't in shape.
Yeah, he was like Ronnie. Ronnie was taking the trains originally too.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, Ronnie wasn't being flown anywhere. I remember forget who was telling me that, like Levrone or something like that. That Ronnie was on the. Him and Vicky Gates would get on the train and they'd meet him there, and Wayne was flying the top guys to the other to all the different cities.
Isn't that funny? And the guy who become 25-time whatever. Mr. Olympia was taking the bus.
Yeah, Ronnie said to Ronnie, he goes, Ronnie, why are you coming and doing all these shows? You come in like last place. He goes, I just love bodybuilding. I want to be part of it.
Yeah. I'll take the bus.
And I think Ronnie felt bad from at that point. That's when Ronnie started asking him questions. Wheeler even said the same thing, and they felt bad. They're like, well, you got to take, you got to take the steroids. That's what you're not doing. Oh, really? Well, what are you guys taking? He didn't know. And then the next year he's beating these guys, it's like they should have kept their mouth shut. But Ronnie was so pure and innocent about the whole thing. It was like there was no like malintent on his part. He just wanted to compete. He liked it. Made it, he would have done it. He would have paid for it.
Coleman's big breakthrough show was when they had a tour way before he was Mr. Olympia. And they did show after show after show, and Levrone was winning every single show, just cleaning up. And it was like big money at these shows. And they went to Russia. The money was, I think, like 80 or it was huge money. And Coleman won, and people were like, Coleman? Ronnie Coleman?
No, that's the show. Yeah, that's the show that Levrone told the whole story about, where he gave Ronnie the coffee and the alcohol mixed together.
Oh, isn't that funny? I can remember the show only because people like, Coleman, he's like a second stringer, but big, but he's not impressive.
It's funny, right? I always say, just don't quit. If you do what you love, that was Ronnie's. He was like, I'm a cop who just loves bodybuilding. So why would I stop? I'm going to do all the shows. I enjoy it.
Yeah.
And eventually that enjoyment turned into him winning shows. There was a show in Sioux Falls, South Dakota this past weekend, a pro bikini show. Alexandria Ross wins it. Well, new name, Jessica Palmer second, and finishing in third, Ashley Kaltwasser, former Miss Olympia. So that must have been some lineup if former Miss Olympia has to place third, right?
Yeah.
Getting back to some topics of the week. I know you've been following all the RX Muscle rants I've been doing and all the gossip. But I think some of the big stories, Chris, of this past week is really, I guess you could say, involving Ramy, because you and I discussed on the radio.
Don't mention, Dave, you just mentioned on the radio for clicks.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. That's
clicks. Right. You're trying to mention for clicks.
Yeah, people think that we need clicks. Ramy, we reported on the radio that Ramy, who was rumored to have been doing Tampa Pro, we discussed, you and I, in depth, probably the whole show pretty much was involving Ramy. What was his motivation for doing Tampa? Was it a good idea? Because we know Dexter's doing Tampa, and Dexter's, looking for that 30th win. You seem to think he wasn't going to do it. He wasn't going to be ready. And
after the New York, we have to go way back on radio shows when we talked about New York. I said he's not doing New York.
Right. But you and I saw the video. We knew he wasn't going to be ready. But it seemed like Tampa. There was enough time. But that would be risky. We thought, because once again, an in shape Dexter Jackson is not a pushover. And Ramy needs to win a show to qualify for the Olympia, especially if he's only going to do one show. He's not going to qualify on points, with one show. So we talked about that, and then you texted Ramy. And Ramy basically revealed to you a later date, a couple days later, that he wasn't going to be competing. Now, I had speculated, we had heard Ramy do a Instagram live with Dennis James where he talked about a shoulder injury. So you and I surmised with the shoulder injury, with the fact that he really wasn't ready, it was unlikely he was going to do Tampa. He confirmed it to you via a voicemail message that I heard. I did a video on that. And all of a sudden now Ramy came out and said, I never said that. I'm going to competing. And what do you make on that? I mean, Ramy. You've obviously heard this voice message. You guys text each other. He said he wasn't doing it. Now he says he's doing it. What's going on here? Give me the translation of what you think is happening.
With regards to the Tampa show not doing it?
No, with regards to Ramy first saying he's not competing to, now he's saying he's competing. And where will he compete?
Translation is he was not competing. And then the whole world who wants to see him compete, everyone around him decided to go into a panic and say, bro, you got to compete. You got to compete. You're still big. You got to compete. So he said, yeah, I'm competing. That's what that is.
Okay. Do you think he'll actually get on stage?
No.
Okay. I believe you. I don't think he's going to do it.
I just think if you, if you have a shoulder, if you have an injury and you were trying to go all out for a bodybuilding show, it's like pretending you're going to go all out for some girl who you don't even really want to go all out for.
That's good. Good analogy.
It just shows that you're not really that into her.
Well, you know what? Something a lot of people don't realize. Ramy was supposed to be in Pittsburgh last week at the 2 weeks ago at that Pittsburgh guest posing.
Interesting.
And a couple days before, from what I understand, he contacted, or someone contacted Jim Manning and said he wasn't coming, which is weird. No one doesn't come. They usually. I mean, Flex Lewis was there. He didn't pose because he says he had an injury. I don't believe it. He probably looked better than everyone on stage, but he at least went to the show. Like Ramy could have shown up at the show and said, "Hey, Jim, I can't. I don't feel good, or my shoulder's bad, or whatever." I mean, Sean Roden got up on the stage. If anyone should have gotten up on that stage, Sean Roden should have gotten up on that stage, right? I mean, give me a break. If Sean Roden showed up and got on the stage looking like he did, unshaved with a baseball cap on, Ramy couldn't have looked any worse than that, right?
True.
So I don't know. The whole thing sounds very suspicious. I don't know. Ramy has become like the Kai Greene of the new Kai Greene, don't you think?
Well, it's funny. You know what happens is an amazing amount of hype, deserved hype, follows them both, and an amazing amount of pressure follows them both. An amazing amount of stress is put on them both. And
they both don't respond to stress very well, evidently.
No, and there's an amazing amount of drama that gets, that's always around them.
Which also seems to hurt their placings on stage.
Well, I don't know. I mean, it may hurt their place in the sense that it's hard. It's hard to deal with pressure running into a show.
But do you think we talk about mindset so much? We talk about Jay's mindset, Dwayne's mindset, Ronnie's.
Well, because here's the problem: is people put expectations on Kai, and if he doesn't meet them and blow him out of the water, people say, he's, I'm not going to say he sucks, but you know how critics are. They'll just talk bad about Kai, and you look back and you say he looked crazy for the show. And they're like, well, not really. And if Ramy's not at 100%, whatever that is, people talk crap about him.
It's a lot of pressure, and I don't think people can handle it. I mean, Jay always handled it really well, as far as I know. Even Phil. I mean, Phil got mad.
Phil
got mad, but he handled it.
Well, he's got the most amount of. Phil has the most amount of haters.
No,
seriously.
Yeah, you're right.
I mean, he has a lot of people who talk trash about him. And I mean, I make fun of him too, but on one side of my mouth, on the other side, I say, absolutely beyond phenomenal bodybuilder.
Yeah.
I mean, I make fun of him as the way he handles himself, or some of the things that he says, or some of his ridiculously weird quirks. But he's a phenomenal, crazy, impressive bodybuilder, and he handles well, year to year, the stress and the burden of being Mr. Olympia, and the burden of having to come in at his best, because he's been at his best really. I mean, he's never come in really off.
Here's the thing that I think people forget: the guy's is 40 now, so it was easier to for him to carry himself. I mean, he was very mentally strong when he was at his best, and that's what's most important. As he got toward the end of his career now, and he got to win 7 and everything like that, he started showing a little chinks in the armor, so to speak. And that's just that's the result of aging. Your skin loses elasticity. His abdominal wall lost some elasticity, And so now he's having to fight against what he knows is not his best physique, and he's still beating these guys, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, every single Mr. Olympia was more impressive when they won.
The first couple of years, yeah.
Than
toward the end of their reign, especially if they win more than 3 or 4 years. So, I mean, I understand Phil, but Phil has a very strong mindset. So does Dorian. Had the crazy mindset. Obviously, Jay with the mindset. Dexter was good too. Dexter just wasn't. Dexter was great.
Dexter's mindset is. You know what Dexter's mindset is?
He thinks he's the best one out there all the time, and you know what? That's great. You have to believe in yourself.
Not only that, but Dex's mindset is, well, if you beat me today, I guarantee I'll beat you tomorrow.
Yeah. And that's why he's won 29 pro shows.
There's no one who gets, I don't think, in Dexter's head.
No, but that's why he won so many pro shows. Then you get a guy like Kai, who's physique-wise, one of the most talented guys probably in the history of the sport. And he has trouble winning the big show because I think his mindset is not so strong, even though he puts it out there that, it's all about, what you think about is what you get, and you create your own reality. He knows all the...
Well, sometimes you don't create your own reality.
No, he does.
I would like to be a burden, a bearer of bad thoughts, but sometimes the fact is you don't create your own thoughts. No. There's so many negative thoughts around you that they're absorbed right through your skin. And
but you can't control it. And I think that he has a lot of baggage, from his past that is a burden to him. And I think that he allows that to create the negativity in his life. Rather than, I don't think he cares about what other people say about him. I think it's more about who he is. And that has not enabled him to win the big show. And and unfortunately, I think that's the same thing that's burdening Ramy. Maybe Ramy thinks he's not, I don't know, worthy. I don't know what his, everyone has their own, look, I have my own insecurities too, or I did at least when I was younger. And we all have to try to deal with them. And so, Ramy has never really realized his true potential. And I think everyone's starting to say, well, maybe he never will,
Yeah,
I don't know.
He's been doing the show since 13. 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18.
The question is, will he do the Tampa show? You say no.
No.
Okay. If he doesn't do Tampa, obviously that means he doesn't do the Olympia this year, which means he pretty much is taking. So you're thinking he's taking the year off, which I know Neil Hill is the one who has advised him to do that right from the get-go. I know you and I have said that might be the best thing, especially if he's got a shoulder injury and he's not able to train at 100% and his head's not right in it right now. Then, I mean, what's the purpose? The goal is to win the Olympia, right, Chris, for him? I mean, if he can't win the Olympia, then he might as well not do the Olympia.
Yeah. It's not to win the Tampa. Goal is not to win Tampa.
If Ramy called you tomorrow and said, "Can you help me?"
Yes.
You'd say yes.
Yeah. Yeah,
well,
because we
just for the challenge?
No, because we have I would say that me and Ramy have a better relationship than probably almost every single person in his life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Neil Hill, by the way, was not aware that Ramy, because there was a rumor going around that Ramy had dropped him. And, Neil and I text all the time, and he wasn't aware of it. And I know he had contacted Ramy about it. I think Ramy said that, no, I never said that, So there's a lot of people talking for Ramy out there, and I don't know what the reason is. And I think that's why we're getting a lot of conflicting reports.
Well, that's part of that's
is that part of the Ramy mystique? You know how Kai used to always create drama?
Ramy mystique is part of what I alluded to before. Is like there's just it's in terms of Ramy not competing. He's supposedly okay. It goes like this.
But you remember that used to happen with Kai also. That always happened with Kai. Remember we used to always have this drama. Remember he fell off the treadmill that one time, and he was always creating drama before his competitions. But I think he needed that drama to give him inspiration to compete. I don't know what Ramy needs all this drama for around him.
Well, okay. Ramy's drummers. It's part of. He's part of the problem on it, meaning, of course, because you're responsible for people around you. But there's just so many people around like a Ramy who create drama for him where there needs to be none. It's like, you know what, Dave? You know the person with no drama? You know why Sean Roden won the Olympia? Just no drama.
No drama.
I mean, there's no, he don't care. He stays, he says in his lane. People can call him small every year running into the show. People can call him fat. It don't bother him.
Right.
So there's no drama. Does that make sense?
No, it makes complete sense.
And other people will say, well, they pretend there's no drama, but there's drama. So, I mean, I think that...
Do you think that, speaking of Sean Roden, I know that Chickarillo had said that he
felt... Now, it's a week from that show, he's ripped to the ball.
He felt that he was not representing the Mr. Olympia title. He should be embarrassed to get up there looking like that. What do you think? Do you agree with that? Do you think it was unprofessional for him as Mr. Olympia to show up in Pittsburgh like that, or does it really not matter? It only matters what he looks like at the Mr. Olympia contest. What's your take on that? Does he have more of a responsibility as Mr. Olympia to show up looking good?
Probably yes. To look. Yeah, there's some truth to that for sure. No doubt about it.
Was it, because I guess you do have a responsibility to the fans. If once you're Mr. Olympia, if you're not Mr. Olympia, then it doesn't really matter.
What fans? What fickle fans? Who are the fans? Are they on the internet? The fans? I mean, how many fans at the Pittsburgh show? 800, and there's like 800 million on the internet.
Well, I think you have to talk about the world fans. Just in general. I mean, you're Mr. Olympia. You're the number one bodybuilder in the world. That's Sean Roden right now.
There's some truth to that too, but
he's the reigning champion, of bodybuilding.
I think there's absolute some truth to that as well, and I think that you'll probably end up seeing, shockingly, in September, the best Sean Roden ever.
You think that lit a fire under his ass?
Yeah.
Good.
And I don't think at the Olympia since 2012 he's really disappointed any fans.
Did you get your first call from him in a while right after that show?
The day after.
What'd he say?
Let's get going, boss. I say, I love a challenge. Yeah. I love a challenge.
But you know that Sean will let you torture him to death, though. That's
yeah.
Yeah, and he doesn't. And he's a genetic freak. He'll definitely be back in shape. We know that.
Listen. If you look at Vietnam during the Vietnam War and what it looks like now, I know that's a wacky analogy, but sometimes the greatest growth and development comes from the shittiest low.
Yeah, but you know what? Sean looked really good at Pittsburgh the year before that. Last year before he won the Olympia, yeah, he was big. He was huge.
Last year he was small.
No, he wasn't. Did you go back and watch the guest posing?
He was smaller. I mean, he wasn't this small, but
he would look good. He looked good.
No, it was 2015. He was a monster.
No, he looked good. Don't you remember last year? Because when he didn't do the Arnold, remember? And then he made that. Yeah. He was like training hard the whole year. He was huge.
No. Well, see, you know what? Either he's going to do it or he's not going to do it. Yeah. That's
The funny thing is when you talk about genetic freaks like that, the funny thing is it doesn't even matter if they're big or small or whatever. Once they put their mind to it, it's like everything just clicks. Yeah.
I said all you need to do is keep your focus, and that is more than 75% of winning.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's go back to Kai Greene again. So we're flip-flopping from Kai to Ramy to Sean Roden.
Chris Lewis, we didn't talk about.
Yeah, I got to get Chris Lewis on the radio, on the TV show. He's been texting me a lot too. Chris Psycho Lewis. Is he training with Psycho again?
No, I don't think so. Chris texted me about Sean. I said, just you guys get together and start your training. For God's sakes.
Yeah, because because Sean was training with little Charles Glass a little bit. I said, Psycho. I said, he won the Olympia with you. I said, I can't imagine that he's not going to go back to you for the Olympia again this year. Yeah. I think Sean just took a break. He was just, there's no reason. Look, there's no reason why you can't train with a couple different people, right? I mean, why can't you be trained by Charles for a couple months and then Chris for the Olympia? It's not like gurus. It's called weight training.
I think the best Iron Debate show would be Chris Lewis and Charles Glass.
Yeah, you know what? Chris would do what Charles would never do. Charles is too high class. He doesn't give a shit enough. And I talk to Charles a lot too, and I don't think he wants any drama.
That would be
Charles
Dexter.
is at a stage of his life. He's like Dexter. Just leave me alone. Let me do my thing. I don't want to get
Dexter
involved.
versus Jeremy Buendia, whatever the kid's name is, would be good too.
Yeah, too bad Dexter doesn't like us because I'd love to get him on the show. Get his opinion on all these topics. I have to settle for Sean Ray instead.
Yeah.
So anyway, getting back to Kai Greene, Bob Chickarell, went on his show over there, and he was saying that first of all he thought we were clickbaiting. The fact.
What's wrong with? Excuse me. Can I interrupt? What the fuck is wrong with clickbaiting?
Nothing, but
it's like putting Ramy on the poster and he's not even doing
There's
a show.
There's nothing wrong with clickbaiting as long as the story is accurate. So he was implying that Kai was never given a special invite, and I just did a video response
Dan
to that.
Solomon got to get his the guy who runs the damn show got to get his facts straight when he tells you them.
Well, yeah, Dan Solomon, number one, said that yes, we want him on the Olympia stage. Jim Mannion called me. Jim Mannion and I were on the phone for a half hour, and he says, "Look, Dave, I want Kai in that show. I make the decisions. I'm the president of the IFBB Pro League, as you know. So if Kai calls me up and says, hey, Jim, I want to do the show.
I get it. I get Chickarella's spin.
You're in the show. So Chick is saying that, well,
we never
he wasn't officially invited.
Well, the same damn thing. You didn't send it to him. You know what? It's like...
It's semantics.
Yeah, it's a legal It's like sending something to your lawyer.
But it would be different if Jim didn't go on record and say we want him in the show. If Dan didn't say, yeah, we want him in the show. In other words, the people who can make the decisions, which number one, Jim is the decision maker. If Jim says we want him in the show and then I'm going to give him an invite, all Kai has to do is pick the phone up. Then it's on Kai. Kai's invited essentially. Kai just has to say, yeah, I want to go. He's got an RSVP essentially. Now, Bob also suggested that Kai should have to requalify. He says, I don't think it's fair that Kai should be given any kind of special invite. Now, over the years, there's been many special invites given to people who weren't reigning Mr. Olympias, because reigning Mr. Olympias can do whatever, can do the Olympia or anything.
Well, Ferrigno had a special invite. He didn't win any shows.
Gunther probably had about 3 special invites to the Olympia over the years. Flex, Lavroni, the list goes on. There's been a lot of special. DeMeo had a special invite, right?
That's right.
When he won the Nationals. So Kai is way more deserving than probably a lot of the special invites that were put out there over the years. That most of them were ceremonially done, I mean, Kai's way better than Lou Ferrigno was when he made his comeback. I mean, so it's ridiculous for Chick to even say that, that Kai should have to requalify. Come on, man. The guy's won 2 Arnold Classics. He's won almost every major title. He's been second at the Olympia, 3 or 4 times? I mean, he is the most popular guy in all of bodybuilding right now.
Yeah, isn't it funny, Dave? The 2 most popular, probably, him and Ramy aren't doing the Olympia.
and Phil, who's the most hated, which is the same thing as being one of the most.
Phil may jump in. Phil's thinking right now about jumping in. I guarantee you.
You know what? I think he should. I think at this point, with the heavy hitters out, I think he fares a much better chance, don't you?
Well, no, you don't even need the heavy hitters. He just saw what Sean looked like in Pittsburgh and thought, okay, I got a way big jump start on him. Guaranteed.
Yeah.
Mark my words.
Well, he's beaten Sean many times
every time
before. Yeah,
every time except once.
And he sees obviously Sean is vulnerable now. That doesn't mean that Sean's not going to come in at his best, but also you have to contend with people like Brendan Curry now.
Agreed.
Now I heard a rumor. I'm not going to say where I heard it from. I wasn't there. I didn't hear it personally, but I heard a rumor that that George Farah's been actually training and preparing Brandon Curry for all these last couple shows, not the Camel Crew coaching over there.
Should I text George and find out right now?
Yeah, text him if you want.
1:00 in the morning. George.
No, but I heard that. I heard that at the show that when Brandon won the Arnold, I heard that George was in the audience, and I didn't hear it, so I don't want to take credit for it. But someone who's reliable heard him screaming, "I can't believe they're not thanking me!" And the source said to me, said to him, "Well, why would they?" And he's like, "Well, I did his diet. I prepared him." They just
what's the guy's name? Brandon.
Brandon Curry.
Yeah, I'll read the text to you, Brandon.
You're really texting with 1 in the morning?
Yeah. Any truth to that?
Yeah. Which is interesting because, Brandon, everyone thought that, Brandon made all these great strides, by going out to oxygen, which I'm sure the environment helped him.
George, I'm doing the radio show with Dave Palumbo, and Dave Palumbo says you have been prepping Brandon. Any truth to that? If it's true, you are beyond humble. I know it's 1 a.m.
Oh my God.
I know it's 1 a.m. He's probably up. I'll give a little smiley face.
Here's a good quote of the week. We were talking about how your mindset works. We practice the art of allowing, which means reaching for the thought that feels best, not the thought that is the real thought, not the thought that is telling it like it is. Telling it like it is only holds you where it is. Quote, damn it, I'm going to tell it like it is. I'm going to tell it like it is because everyone wants to tell me like it is. Well, telling it like it is, tell it like it is if you like it how it is. But if you don't like how it is, then don't tell it like it is.
The word is to tell is too many.
Yeah.
I just heard too many.
In other words,
sounds like
the quote. It's really a paragraph of wisdom. What it is, it means that don't tell people how it is if you don't like how it is, because otherwise it's going to stay like that. That's what they're saying. That's what the quote is saying. Mm-hmm. So if you want a different story to be your truth, then tell a different story. Don't tell everyone how poor you are because you're going to keep being poor. Don't tell everyone how sick you're always being because you're going to keep getting sick. Don't tell people how much you hate losing every show you do because you're going to keep losing. Tell people how smart you are, how good your physique is, how you love winning, how you can't wait till you're going to win your next show. Tell a different story, and you'll create a different reality, and that's really what it is.
I'm looking for the quote that I gave you about reading, but I can't find it.
Did you text it to me?
Yeah.
Recently?
And you said I think people have Google.
Oh yeah, yes, I gave you a good reading.
Like 10,000 text messages I sent you this week.
Yeah, you did send me a lot. I'm looking for the quote.
Here's the one. Here's the text message about I was supposed to get my 5-year-old at the bus, but I overslept and I ran out of the house in bare feet and the bus was taken off. I missed him.
Barefoot and naked.
I think it was about. It had to do with about the individual who reads.
The man who can read is as impoverished as the one who can but doesn't. The man who can't read. The man who can't read is as impoverished as the one who can but doesn't. And I said, luckily for this generation, they have YouTube. That was my witty response to you. No one has to read anymore. No one has to write anymore.
No, I told you I told you
they're not making them write in cursive writing anymore, right?
Yeah, my kids write cursive writing, and when they went to public school, the teacher's like, "Where'd you learn that?" I'm dead serious.
It is kind of stupid when you think about it, though. Other than signing your name, I mean, what do you really need to write in cursive writing for? I mean, that's like in the times when people had to write like scrolls because there was no typewriters or anything.
Yeah.
I mean, it is kind of ridiculous. It's like trying to learn. Remember they used to teach everyone Latin in school?
Roman numerals, right?
When our parents went to school, you had to learn Latin. Like, what the fuck do you need Latin for?
They'd say this because every word is derived from Latin. That's what they would tell you.
Yeah, but everyone speaks fucking Spanish. I take my son to the preschool he goes to, and the teachers are talking to him in Spanish, which I don't mind. I hope he learns Spanish.
Yeah.
Every kid in there is like Spanish speaking. I'm saying to my wife, I'm like, I don't mind if they speak the Logan in Spanish so he can learn it, but what about the other kids? I don't think the other kids even know English, some of them. Because I'm trying to talk to these kids, because there was like an open house thing, and we went there, and I'm trying to talk to these kids. Don't know what the fuck I'm saying to them. I'm trying to hit them with Spanish words that I can remember from school. It's crazy. I said, isn't that kind of handicapping these kids when they have to go to like pre-K? I said they're not going to be able to speak English. Pretty soon they're not going to speak English in school at all. It'll just be in Spanish.
They don't at the Publix on 69th Street in Miami Beach because one day I was in there with my son who took Spanish.
Right.
And it was late, but there were two girls behind the counter. It was funny in the deli section, and nobody spoke English.
Yeah. That's
at
crazy.
all. So my son, I was trying to use hand gestures and signals for sliced turkey and sliced roast beef.
Don't you feel like a real moron when you can't communicate with someone and you're
I was using-
you're in
I
the
had-
United
I-
States?
I
You know?
had I was pointing and I had my left hand open and my right hand I was like sawing to indicate slicing. As in, so I was pointing to the turkey, but my 13-year-old saved the day.
He came up with the word.
Yeah, he said whatever, however you say it. My father would like sliced turkey,
That's great.
1 pound.
Now, how did he learn it? Because you homeschooled him. Who taught him?
Homeschooled.
With your wife?
They did the what's that? Magetta Stone.
Yeah, Rosetta Stone.
Magetta.
Magesta.
A lot of people text me this week about the trimestylene anabolics that I have secret access to.
Oh,
Trimestylene.
Trenmastylene, is that a new one?
Yeah, it's a made up cockamamie nothingness.
Yeah.
But people thought it was witty, I guess.
Unbelievable. Well, New York Pro should be a good show at least this weekend. We're kind of really in the meat of the heart of the contest season now, and there's not. If you think about it, there's not that many more shows to really qualify for the Olympia, left.
I know.
People, they cut down the Olympia. It stopped the qualification stopped the first weekend in August now when the Tampa Pro is.
Yeah. So this Puerto Rico show, the open show, is going to be a big chance for somebody to.
Absolutely, it's an extra show they threw in there. And who do you think sponsoring that one?
Beta.
No, our good friends at Wings of Strength there.
Oh,
Those guys are saving the bodybuilding with all the sponsorships they're doing.
Yeah, I thought you were going to say like Jack Tatone or something. He sponsors a lot of shows.
No, he promotes a lot of shows. He
Promotes a
doesn't
lot of
sponsor them.
shows.
I'm talking about putting up the money for the title sponsor. I mean, Tim Gardner is the promoter of the show, but Tim can't hold a show if he doesn't have a sponsor because they got to give away prize money and they got to pay sanction fees. So, when a company like Wings of Strength puts up that much money for all these pro shows, originally it was just for women's bodybuilding, but they're putting up these money for all the shows now and the Olympia. I mean, you got to really take your hat off to them and thank them. I mean, whether you agree with, or don't agree with whatever they're doing, they are supporting bodybuilding, and that's great for the bodybuilders, And when I see that, I want to help them in any way possible because they're helping our sport stay alive essentially. Now you got the Cal Pro, that's the 25th. Is that the same weekend? Yeah,
That is the same weekend as
the
Toronto, right?
No, the Puerto Rico Pro and the California Pro the same weekend. The New York Pro is the weekend before. That's this coming weekend. The weekend after that, New York Pro, you have that Puerto Rico and Cal, and then the weekend after that, you have Toronto.
Yes, yeah.
So that's a big three. I mean, that weekend where you have the two on the same weekend is a really good opportunity for guys to qualify for the Olympia because you're splitting the lineup essentially.
Yeah.
Do you think more people will do Cal, or do you think more people will do Puerto Rico?
Cal for sure.
I think the California people will do Cal, and I think the rest of the country will do the Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I think.
I don't know. I'd say more will do the Cal only because the show's more established, has a better ring to it. I'd like to win the Cal, place top 3 in the Cal versus the Puerto Rico.
I don't know. And then the week after that, you got the Chickarillas doing that British Grand Prix. Well, that's not the weekend after. It's the 30th of June, though. Then you got Chicago Pro, July 4th.
Yeah.
Tim Gardner. And then you got the July 13th, you have Vancouver. Then you have that Portugal Pro show. That's July 21st. And then you got the George Farah Classic in Lebanon, assuming that goes off on the 27th. And then you got Tampa. So I guess almost every weekend you got a show. There's plenty of opportunities to requalify for people who want to. But they're so close together, these shows. I would imagine that you're going to get a lot of the same guys in the lineup, which is great. It reminds me of the old days, right? When Wheeler and those guys Cormier, they would all compete week after week after week. That's exciting.
It is. No argument there.
Yeah. I don't know if that I wouldn't bet on that Lebanon show happening, although I think that
Who was the promoter of it?
George Farrar. Back
Well,
to George
why
Farrar.
not?
Did George Farrar respond to you?
No. Let's see. He must be sleeping.
Only you and I
He
are
doesn't
fucked up enough to be up doing on Saturday night. We're doing this so that we have Mother's Day. We can actually focus on mothers. Unbelievable. What day is the Olympia? The Olympia is on... I don't even see what date it is. When is the Olympia?
I don't even know.
It's not even on the schedule. Oh, here it is. September 12th. So, but you got to qualify by the Tampa Pro. That's the last qualifier on August 1st. Any shows that are won after that are going to be count towards 2020. Speaking of which, Flex Lewis, announced that he will be at the 2020 Olympia. That should be exciting for next year, huh?
Yeah, very much.
How do you think he'll do?
I always said not good, but now I'll change my mind.
He looks huge to me.
Yeah, he's bigger, which he needs to be. Who knows, man? I mean, he might do really well. I mean, it's just that it depends on the lineup and who's there. But
no one's going to be harder than him. No one poses better than him up there.
Well, he's got enough of the bells and whistles to beat. He'll have glutes and hams, which is his calling card.
Right.
And glutes and hams in the Olympia, if you have, is like not a prerequisite. It is a absolute unequivocal must-have.
Yep.
So he's got that. He's got good quarter turns, so that's very important.
He's just short. That's the only thing. But what? Bonak's short.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say Bonak is short. I mean, I guess you really have to see him up there to make an assessment. But
I think it adds a level of excitement to the Olympia that
sure
no one
it does.
expected was going to happen, right?
Well,
Who thought that the 212 champion would go down and try to compete in the Open?
Yeah, takes a lot of guts.
And if he were ever to win,
oh my gosh,
think about that. I mean, that really would cement him as a fucking legacy, right?
Yeah.
Oh my God. And you know what? It's not unheard of because you know what? No one expected Sean Roden to win the Olympia. There's a lot of flux in that open division right now about who is going to be the next champion. And you know what? He would certainly add a level of excitement to the Olympia if he was the champion, right? People would go crazy, right?
Yeah.
He'd probably sell a hell of a lot more tickets than some of these other guys have over the years. I'd love to see him versus Phil. I always said I wanted to see him and Phil Heath on stage against each other and as an overall when he would win the 212. I mean, Phil would have crushed him. Phil would have probably crushed him because Flex had to suck down too much to make that 212. But I would have loved to seen it anyway, just to see how Flex, looked standing next to him. We might get our wishes. So I'll put you on the record since you're the great predictor, Chris, and then we'll go because I have to make a Mother's Day card. I can't just sign a card. I have to, as I said earlier, so I have to make the card. Let's give you a fantasy here. Will Phil Heath be at the Olympia this year?
Yes.
Okay. Will he win?
No.
Okay. Will Big Ramy be on that Olympia stage this year?
Nope.
Will it be because he hasn't competed or he didn't qualify?
It will be the shoulder will get the best of him.
Okay, so he's going to use the shoulder as the reason he's not.
No,
going
I
to
mean
compete.
it's you know.
Well, people have
Look at-
competed with injuries before. I mean, it doesn't look like he's had an injury. He's just claiming he can't train the way he wants to. Will he use that as an excuse to get him out of doing a show?
I think it's not an excuse. I think it is what it is, that he's got an injury that, while it does not show up on it. You know what? You want to know something interesting, Dave? The worst injury to have? The one that he has.
Why?
Because he told me it does not show up on an MRI.
Oh, really?
Which is the worst injury to have, because it leads to, like, not self-doubt, but it leads to the anxiety of, then what is it? Because if you could go as a professional bodybuilder and you got an injury and the doctor says, this is what it is, the next thing out of your mouth is, can you fix it? Any doctor is going to say yes.
Right.
And you say, great. But if you've got a lot of pain and you go to the doctor and you get an MRI, and then you go to the next doctor, you get an MRI, you go to another doctor and you get an MRI, and they say, we find nothing.
Wow. So what's the pain that he's experiencing?
Well, that's the whole point. Who knows?
Is it on working out? Is it all the time? Or what is it?
I don't know. I would have to speculate there, but
Yeah.
I would speculate that it's working out. But the funny thing is you sent me a video of him training a few weeks ago, and he said, didn't his shoulder look bad?
Yeah.
Remember you said that?
Yeah, no, I remember.
You said very specific to me. You sent it and you said...
And I didn't even know he had a shoulder
That's
injury.
right.
It just looked weird to me. Didn't look like his usual shoulder. He has some of the... When he was at his best, his shoulders were among the most ridiculous deltoid development I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Ridiculous looking, just round, capped, full. No, every head of the deltoid just completely filled out. There was no lacking rear delts, no lacking front delts, just perfect. And then I saw this video, and I'm like, he didn't have any, his front delts were atrophied. It looked like to me.
Funny, I had a dinner guest tonight from Egypt. I just met.
It wasn't Nasser, was it?
No, it wasn't Nasser. No, Dave, I don't go to Chris's house. I don't go to mixed racial homes.
So the Egyptian guy is got nothing to do with nothing about.
I told Chris, his wife, just give me a bowl of ice cream. I do not want to wait for anything else.
So the Egyptian guy who I just met,
he fishes with Ramy.
No, he knows nothing about nothing with sports and bodybuilding. So at 3/4 through the night, I said, "Do you happen to know a guy named Big Ramy?" And his face lit up, and he said, "Yes, the bodybuilder." And I said, "Yeah, you know him?" And he said, "Yeah." He asked me how I know him, and I told him, and he said, he's very well respected. Let's get his words right. He's a very well respected humanitarian in Egypt.
Really?
Yeah, very, very strong.
So that implies that he obviously does stuff.
I don't know. He said he's very well respected humanitarian, very well respected person, very well respected in his community, and most important, very respects his mother, which to a level I couldn't quite figure out what the rest he was trying to say.
Yeah. Well, we know that Ramy has bought a bunch of fishing boats for the family, so I'm sure that he's supporting the family's business and stuff like that.
Should I just call George and wake him up?
We'll have to wait till next week to get the George answer on that one, on the Brandon Curry. No, I love that Ramy. You could tell that Ramy is probably I think the bodybuilding thing is too much for him. I don't think it's overwhelming. He's a very simple guy who likes simple things, and I think that the bodybuilding is too much drama for him, to be honest with you. It's too much drama for me sometimes. I get a headache, and I like drama because I get off on arguing and debating and educating and all that. Ramy just wants to go fish, I got that impression when I interviewed him at the Olympia. He wants to go on his boat for 10 days, no cell phones, and just sit and fish all day. You know what? And I got news for you. I wouldn't mind doing that either. But you know what? I got responsibilities right now. But it's got to be wonderful. And when you give up that simple life of fishing and you step into the deep ocean, so to speak, of having to deal with people and contracts and money and guest posings and responsibility and getting in the best shape of your life, and now people are depending on you. It changes you. I just don't think that he was ready for that. I don't think that was the life he really wanted. It just turned out that he was a great bodybuilder. He loved working out. He went to the gym, and the fucking guy grew. And he grew, and he grew, and he grew. And now he was like a different person. He wasn't Ramy the fisherman anymore. He was Ramy the professional bodybuilder. And yeah, it's exciting at first, but then I think he realized that, you know what, it's not so glamorous after all. I think the fishing thing was better. Maybe he enjoyed it more, and so his innocence was taken from him in a sense, right?
You just made like a major motion picture.
Right. I just gave you the whole script for the life of Ramy. It's going to be cool.
You got to do it in that voice of the guy who does the
David Attenborough.
Oh, is that? Of course you know the guy's name. How do you know the guy's name who does the trailers?
I don't know if that's who it is. David Attenborough does all those wildlife shows, and that's why.
Let's hear a description of Ramy in his voice.
This is David Attenborough. I can't do a British accent. We could probably get Nathan D'Esha to do it, but no. But
Nathan. I thought Nathan was in the New York Pro.
I think he had an injury, didn't he? I thought he was.
Yeah, that's because he's trying to tease Roden. So that's karma right there.
He might be out of the show because I think he had an injury.
It's better to be fat and small for a show than just injured.
I guess. Well, look what happened to what's his name? Who was supposed to do the show too? I just had him on the show. Antoine Valiant.
Oh yeah. What happened to him?
Tore his bicep.
How?
Doing something stupid also.
No, please, what?
I don't remember. What did he tell me? He was doing something stupid. He was reaching across his body for something to lift something up. I don't even remember what it was. He told me. I interviewed him. Watch the interview, guys, on rxmuscle.com. He did it. It was a freak accident. It's a freak accident. And Fouad Abiad tore his tricep. He's out. So a lot of injuries lately. Derek Farnsworth texted me. He's like, we got to do a show on why bodybuilders are injuring themselves lately prior to shows. Never happened like that before. I said, let's do it. Except Derek's got 400 clients a day he's got to train, and then but he's like, can we do 8:00 at night? I'm like, Derek, I don't do that anymore. I got to go home. I got real hours now. I have kids. My kids are not going to understand at 8:00 when they want to play around upstairs that I have to go do an interview with you. But we'll get him in. He'll sneak it in anyway. We're going to talk about that because there's a lot of injuries lately. You're right. Big Ramy. I felt bad for Antoine because Antoine was making the comeback. He looked really, really good. Really good. I thought maybe this guy could win the New York Pro. I said, this guy is looking great. He was good. He was scheduled to Toronto. He was going to jump in New York, and I was like, man, this guy's going to be dangerous. And man, it sucks. And his team had contacted me on a couple days right after he did it, and they said they were asking me some questions about it, and they're like, please don't tell anyone. I said, no. And I think they was trying to do the show anyway, and then he got the MRI back, and he had actually, that stupid Canadian health system. Everyone's like, oh, it's free. Yeah, well, you have to wait 6 weeks to get an MRI. So
he have to wait 6 weeks now.
Yeah. So he went to Niagara Falls. He drove to New York like a million hours. Got the MRI right over the border, and then they sent that into his doctor in Canada there, and they said, yeah, it was a complete rupture. So he had to he's getting surgery on it. There's nothing they could do about it. He can't compete with no bicep there.
Yeah, that's too bad.
Yeah, it is.
Literally.
But he'll be back. That's sometimes these things. Look at Eduardo Correa tore his tricep 14 times.
Yeah, like right off. Well, the greatest was, I told you on this show, 2013. He tore it 9 days out, and he couldn't move it until the day before the show. So he still got fifth in the 212 Olympia.
Crazy.
And he did not exercise of any sorts for the last 9 days.
Nuts. That's crazy.
And he could not bend it until the day before the show.
That's like a Dorian Yates story.
Yeah.
That's what true champions do. They find a way to fucking, to do it.
Yeah.
I also what?
No, I remember him calling me his girlfriend, calling me from the ever optimist, calling me from the hospital, and it was like, Eduardo, he got a bad injury. Chris, what do we do? I said, just see the doctor and maybe take tomorrow off.
Tomorrow off. Yeah, you didn't know it was torn.
No, I didn't know.
Well, if you guys want to watch any other great programming this past week, we had J.M. Mannion on the show. That's Jim Mannion's son, who is a good friend of ours, and he discusses the new wellness division that we talked about last week, that they're starting, what's it all about, and la-da-da-da-da. So you can check that out. And also, Lee Priest was on Iron Rage with me this past weekend, and we were talking about how, I don't know if it annoys you, but it annoys me. I don't mind when people post pictures of food that they're eating, but I hate the people who post pictures of every meal they eat. They line up all the meals they're preparing for the week. It's annoying. And so Lee is really funny. You got to watch that. If you want to get a laugh, if you're in a bad mood or whatever, watch the Iron Rage from this past week. You'll be in a good mood when it's over. Lee can make anyone smile. He really can. The guy's got a gift of humor. It's connected to the Australian sense of humor, but he's just a funny guy to be with, So that was the week. And like I said, big week this week with New York Pro. We'll see who jumps in that lineup at the last minute. Now that there's a couple people who are not doing the show, I'm sure we'll get an updated list on Monday from Steve Weinberger, and we'll find out what's going on. But Chris, we're out of time. Until next week, remember, with Heavy Muscle Radio,
the truth hurts.
Good night, everyone.